Hey y'all, it's Kate. I'm back with a gear and bike check, this time from the Dolomites, where I am currently traveling on a bikepacking trip with the goal of riding as much single track up and down as possible. On this trip, this particular loop, we're riding 237 miles with a little over 70,000 feet of elevation gain and loss. Our climbs come in generally in really steep, like 20 to 30% grade two tracks, leading into single track with some hike-a-bike. And then we try to stay high, and then we have descents that range from like 2,000 to 6,000 feet. Kurt and I are doing a mix of hut to hut and staying in little unstaffed refugios or bivouacos like this Malga, where you have to bring your own sleep kit and food, everything really, other than the shelter. And we've bivvied also, just out under the skies. Although it's July, it snowed yesterday high in the mountains, and it's been pretty chilly up high. And we've had rain pretty much every day except for today, and in some cases, quite a bit of rain. So the way that I've packed has been informed by the weather, how we're traveling, staying mostly inside but able to bivvy out if needed, and wanting to be able to have really like the best possible bike handling ability with the gear that I'm carrying. So the way that I have selected my Revelate Designs bags and packed them and loaded them on this extra small Pivot Trailcat is informed by wanting to prioritize the best possible bike maneuverability for those really big descents, and ideally the most energy efficient setup for the endless climbing that we're doing. So I'll take you through how the gear I've selected and how I have packed, starting with the middle of the bike, and we'll move into the handlebar bag, and then what's in my pack and a bit about why I have a pack. One thing to note is I am traveling with Kurt, my teammate and best friend, and he is generally most days stronger than me and also rides a larger frame. And so rather than thinking about equality, we focus on equity, and he's carrying a tiny bit more than I am. Primarily the difference is that he has our repair kit, like the group repair kit, and our first aid kit, all packed in the internal frame storage in his bike, which is a pretty sweet addition to these trail bikes these days. So as for me, I have a lot of little bags and then one big bag. In my cockpit, I have a mag tank, and this is the standard size mag tank. In it, I keep snacks that I'll eat while riding, so all I have to do is pull a snack out. And then I also tend to stuff my GoPro in there, as long as it's padded to keep from rattling. I have a feed bag. This is kind of the catch-all. It seems to change what it holds every day, which is something I love about it. Sometimes it's holding a croissant. Sometimes it's holding my gloves. Sometimes it's holding my 1 liter bladder of water. Sometimes it has that GoPro. Sometimes it has other snacks. Sometimes it has my wind jacket, the Houdini. So that just varies, but it's really nice having something that I can easily pull open and close while on the go. And it's actually been really easy to carry water in a flask like this. And then in the external pockets, chapstick, one of my ride essentials, and sunscreen, another ride essential. And sometimes that collects trash as well, that then I unload when I find a trash can. Down in my jerry can, this is holding things that I may need. I want easy accessibility to if I do need it, but generally I'm not getting them out a ton throughout the day. First is my Catadine filter in a tiny little half-liter flask. In the Alps, we tend to have really nice water access that you don't have to treat. So don't use this a ton, but this also goes into my little feed bag when it's full, and I am drinking out of it, so that's nice. I have a lightweight Phoenix headlamp that's wet right now from the rain yesterday. And then I have my InReach in case we have some sort of emergency or I need to be able to use it. So those 3 things live in my jerry can. Down in my frame bag, there's 2 sides to it. So first, the non-drive side, I have my bike repair things. And so what I'm carrying is just the ability to like fix a puncture, add air, and adjust bolts on my bike. And then Kurt has everything else. I'm not even carrying a tube. So I have my tiny wolf tooth pump. In it is a plug kit, and there are plugs inside. So just right there, I have the ability to plug a puncture and add air. And then I have my little tiny wolf tooth pliers that slide open, and I have about 6 bits to choose from. And Hank is on it, which is really important to me. I have a wolf tooth chain loop, small size, the WT1. I have a couple zip ties, quick links for my Shimano chain, 12-speed chain, and I have my air tag for my bike, which I mostly use for flying, but it is handy in the event that my bike were to be stolen. Be easy to know, track it. We don't carry bike locks on trips. We either just babysit our bikes or trust in the good nature of humanity, which so far has worked, but air tag in case it doesn't. And then on the drive side, my frame bag, this is generally mostly food and heavier items, because when I pack to ride on trails, I want as much weight lower over the bottom bracket rather than heavier things up in the handlebars to keep the center of gravity low. So right now in it we have part of dinner, which is spatzel. Anyway, it's green, spinach spatzel. Chocolate that I'm obsessed with. Oh, more chocolate. This one has yogurt. And then this is my little electronics bag, and it's waterproof, and it's small, but it's pretty dense. Because on this trip, I have an iPhone charger and a USB-C cord. I have headphones. I have a battery bank. That's probably the bulk of the density, but that is for charging when I don't have outlets like tonight. I have a Shimano Di2 battery and the charger for the battery if I were to need more than 2 batteries, which I won't. I have a Euro USB charger, one more, the adapter, the plug adapter, and my tiny Coros watch adapter thing that would go with the USB-C cord. So those are my electronics. On my cockpit for electronics, I have my Coros Dura. We're 6 days in, been riding all day, pretty much every day, and I'm at 63%. So in my pronghorn handlebar bag and harness, I have all the things that I shouldn't need during the day. So today, no chance of rain, so I have my rain pants, which are very lightweight. I have my camp socks, so those will only be worn inside and not get wet. I have my ride shorts that I may wear if it was warmer. Basically, I've brought ride pants and ride shorts, and I'm just alternating depending on the weather. And it's nice to change the seams for my butt. I have a camp bra top thing. Just have something dry against my skin. I have hut pants or camp pants. And then I have 2 warm jackets, which has felt a little unnecessary, but if we were camping up higher, I would wear both of these, and I did wear both of these yesterday when I was freezing from the rain. So it's nice. I have a lightweight down jacket. I have my sleeping bag. I have my head headband, which serves both for warmth, but it's also like a eye mask for sleeping and keeps my earplugs in. And then I have a bivy, my sleeping pad, and a ground sheet, just a piece of Tyvek. And that is it. My sleep kit is a bit more than you'd need for just a hut trip, but being able to sleep out in the mountains, it's nice to have the warmth, and it's important to be able to stay dry. So I have a Western Mountaineering highlight bag, that is the short version because I'm short, and I have a Montbell bivy, and a very lightweight Thermarest sleeping pad that is barely holding air these days. In my pack, attached to the outside, I have a pee rag for feminine hygiene, and then sometimes I joke that the Patagonia Dirt Roamer pack is actually a black hole pack because it is a black hole, and that this water pouch side pocket can hold a ton, like way more than you would ever expect. And so this has a GoPro mount, it has my rain jacket. I would add this Houdini and my Airshed layer as I'm delayering. And then I have my maps, and those are just in a Hyperlight stuff sack to keep them waterproof. I have a 1.5 liter bladder back here. In the top pocket, I have my spoon, my Ziploc bag of passport, credit cards, and little journal, a lens cloth and clear lenses, my little tiny knife and pliers, and some cough drops because Kurt's sick, and so I figured I should have something. And then in the main compartment, I tend to carry more food that I can't fit in my pack, ideally lighter things like bread or chips. I have my knee pads for descents, a very light toiletry kit, and then right now we have examples of that food, which is pizza and a giant cookie, some trash, and a volet strap. And then the only other thing that I have with me are my helmet, the shoes, ride socks, t-shirt, and my phone lives in this pocket. And so to a lot of people, the size of this pack may seem pretty big, but when you think about how a mountain bike handles on descents and what you need or what you want in order to have great bike handling, the ability to lower my dropper all the way down means that I'm not hindered by a seat bag. I can go through my full travel, and the reality is that on this size travel bike with my height, like I just can't run a seat bag. I don't need to run a rear rack because I have what I need in my handlebar bag, and a rack would add weight, and a bit of more challenge for hike a bike. I could have a little down tube bag. I had a stoat on there actually with my rain gear in it, but I gave it to Kurt because he thought he needed it, but not much has been in there. So I might take that back. And then my handlebar bag is small, pretty small. I mean, it's carrying all my clothes and camp stuff, but it's small enough that I can still see my front wheel, and I can still lift up the front wheel, which is both important for climbing, descending, and hike a bike. And then on the hardest hike a bikes, I do take my handlebar bag off and strap it to my backpack. And then I just have everything on my back, or I have a lot on my back, and it's easier to pick up my bike over things or even shoulder it over my shoulders and fully bike carry. So that is how this bike's set up. We're finishing our loop tomorrow. It took a lot less time than we thought, and so we're gonna switch gears and go into a proper hut-to-hut style trip, where we won't need any camping gear and probably less clothing too. And so I'll take you through how that bike gets set up.
Okay, here's the gear spread for the next 4-day trip, all staying inside with the goal of trail riding and trail running.
Now, Kurt and I are wrapping up a 4-day loop that we did strictly hut to hut, with the goal of riding as much trail, mostly downhill, as possible, and going on a couple hikes / trail runs. So with this, we did not bring bivy gear. We did bring running shoes, and our days were pretty certain as far as being able to make it from place to place. They weren't huge days. So I'm going to talk you through how my bike is set up for this kind of bike packing trip in the mountains, but no sleeping outside. So you can see my bike is pretty simple. I have a frame bag. Inside my frame bag, it's been changing every day, but right now I have my rain jacket and my dop bag. And in my dop bag, I have my toiletries and electronics. So toothpaste, charging cord, headlamp, little notebook, toothbrush, that sort of thing. And that's it in my frame bag right now. In my jerry can, I have snacks, and the food for the day. And then down in my stoat, I have my knee pads for descending, and those have been down there except for when I put them on. And then that's all that has been on my bike. I think in hindsight, if I were to do this again, I might add a mag tank just to have a bit more room on my bike for food. And then I have my little running pack, which I wanted to bring on this trip for the pockets, and figured if we actually got a bigger run in, it'd be nice to have a vest like this. And inside this pack, I have a little Hyperlight dry bag to keep everything dry. Other than today, it has been raining every day. And in here I have first my layers that I'd wear during the day, which I have been wearing, my Airshed pullover and Dirt Roamer vest. So those are the ride layers. And then I have a dry base layer for camp, a dry sports bra for camp. I have ride pants, which have been doubling as rain pants. Like, they're not waterproof, but they add warmth. And today's sun is quite deceptive. It's otherwise been pretty cold and rainy, so I have both shorts and pants for riding in. I have hot pants to sleep in. I have a down jacket. It's pretty lightweight. And then I have a GoPro mount so you all can see what we're riding. And now I have some arugula because it's the end of a 10-day trip and I want green things. Socks, camp socks, and a headband, which doubles as an eye mask for sleeping in shared bunk rooms. Trash that I'm packing out from this trip. And lastly, my running shoes and visor or hat. I have a hydration pack in here, 1.5 liters, my phone, and passport, and that is it. And so that's all I brought for this 4-day trip. I know the pack seems pretty full, but it's actually like not that much stuff, and I've been both warm and dry enough, and also had a very lightweight setup, which has made ending our trip of a lot of climbing really nice these last 4 days.